and welcome to another episode of the Dad Squad Solution. Again, your host, TK, Chad, Kai. We're all here again talking about a very important topic. This one is going to be all about manhood versus fatherhood. How is manhood taught, or maybe not taught, and how does that impact the ability for these men to be fathers eventually? So I'm just going to throw a core thought out there today. So the core thought is becoming a better man makes you a better father. But those two things are not always taught together. So, gentlemen, let's look at when I was growing up. Looks very different than men today. I don't know if you guys also experience the same thing.
Right.
But I looked at men from my past, my grandfather and all of those people, and they were providers. They made sure that they walked out and worked and made sure we got the food and so on and so forth. But that was about it. They were the kings. They sit in their thrones, they get the stuff done, and then that was it. What do you guys think?
So, I love this. We are in a world today where we can say, back in the days, manhood looked the way it did. Back then, men actually needed to go out in the wild and fight the wild, all of these things that women could not do in order to provide. We had them known as the hunters and gatherers. Yeah, that was back in the days. And that's why that defined manhood. That's also just because there was no technology, there was no resources. But now manhood looks different because things have become easier. World has evolved, right? It's more inclusive. And the reason or how I understood it when you said that there's a difference between manhood then and now. For me, it's also a thing of like, I see it. Men today don't want to work twice as hard. All the women are looking for stable men so that they can enter a relationship with. But now the men are the ones also looking for stable women. They don't want to be the ones that actually put in twice as much. But then they also don't want to be emasculated by the thing of like 50-50. And that's why they fight and now try to convince us or themselves that they are the men by trying to seem like the men, and that's how they approach things in forms of like abuse, gender-based violence, laying your hands on the kids, because we know that what used to define manhood back then is so much different now. And then now we're just trying to find all the different forms and ways to define manhood for ourselves. Now, the difference between manhood and fatherhood, I like the core thought because it said becoming a man or a better man makes you a better father. Because being a great father doesn't make you a great man. But being a great man can make you a great father. Because when you're a great man, you understand things about yourself so that you can be able to learn teach others about those things. But being a father only teaches you about the aspect of like, this is my child. How do I provide? How can I be present in this child's life?
Right.
But then just because you now know that I have to buy diapers doesn't make you a better man. It doesn't make you the man who knows not to lay their hands on a woman.
Right.
But when you're a great man, you know that these are the principles that come with it. These are the rules that come with being a man, knowing that as a man, I shouldn't put my hands on a woman. That doesn't come with fatherhood. That comes with you just being a man.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying the core thought is really beautiful because it says becoming a better man makes you a better father. If this core thought was for both sides, it would have said, becoming a better man makes you a better father, and a better father makes you a better man.
I think it's really in a guy's nature to want to provide, in a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe not every guy. Studies have shown that the higher your testosterone, the more aggression we need aggression, right? Coming back to the point that Kai made earlier about the hunter-gatherer society, aggression serves its purpose because without aggression, you will not be able to hunt for the food. You won't be able to take risk. That difference in level between a male and a female, the difference of testosterone, I think gives a foundation, a biological foundation for what it means to be a man, right? We can make a clear decision. We're willing to take greater risk. And also physically, we have a difference in terms of muscle mass. This is just reality. You know, you look at most of the men out there, or most biological males. I think those are all aspects that have been merged with different cultures. And so I think biology definitely plays an important foundation in how we define what manhood is. And of course, that has changed over time because now we have a lot more women in the job force. There used to be a time when women cannot get jobs, certain jobs. They can't even vote. But that has all changed. Now we live in a pluralistic society. You're trying to level the playing field. And now we have, female CEOs, business entrepreneurs. And so that whole dynamic has changed. So now it's not just the men that can provide. The women now can also provide.
This is really interesting because if we look at the word man, from looking at the various cultures that are just sitting at this table, if we were to ask, what is a man in terms of, is he a provider? Is he a nurturer? Is he a this? Is he a that? Culturally, I'm sure we're going to get tons of different answers because every culture has a different perspective of what they think is a man or is the essence of being a man or being a father. We also have, unfortunately, this social media culture that's also telling us that men are completely something different from what we grew up with or what we know and so on and so forth. So it's really interesting. Like in my culture, and I think you guys have the same thing, but in my culture, we have something that's known as the man box. When a man or when a young boy is being taught by his father, he's not able to show emotion or show a nurturing side of him. He must show himself to be very stern, stable, healthy, ready to breathe. But he cannot show what, again, my cultures can sometimes tend to see as a feminine set of characteristics. What is it like for you guys' experiences?
Coming from an African country, of course, it's not a thing. There is a man box. As a man, you are expected to behave a certain way. You're expected to act a certain way. You're expected to do things, say things a certain way. And the moment you act outside that man box, then are you truly, or are you, stuff like that? It becomes a question. Or are you just weak? You're just weak. Yeah. It's a form of weakness. Larry, as a man, why are you crying? As a man, why are you showing emotions? Like, get yourself together, go out there and show domination. For me personally, having traveled, having been exposed to different parts of the world where people have different beliefs, different cultures, you get to see that this man box is just in certain places. Neither certain households or social groups, just because of a lack of exposure sometimes. But for me personally, I would rather also say that true manhood is not about domination. True manhood is about choosing cognitively to be present, to lead with wisdom, to serve with humility. All these things that are only attached to females. The females are the nurturers. The females are the ones that are more in tune with their feelings. They are the ones that are more reliable spiritually, mentally. But then men are just going to go out there, come back, give the money to the wife. I have done what I needed to do as the man. You do the rest. But no, as the man, truly, if you are confident in your own manhood and you are unshaken, I tell you, so confident in who you are for you to be able to be who you are. You cannot say that because of somebody else, I'm not going to be in tune with my feelings. Because keep in mind, like I said at the beginning of this question, it depends on where you are, what social groups you're in, what friend groups you're in. You take that, you're trying to implement that on me, and that now feels like a constraint for me.
Right.
And now you have put me into the box. And the moment we know that, me personally, I am an emotional being, I'm a person who expresses how I feel in the moment, I'm going to express how I feel, and that does not reflect weakness. As a Christian, crying is not a form of weakness. You understand? It's a form of you actually being vulnerable, and there is so much power in vulnerability. So I feel like just don't cry all the time. Just, it doesn't take away the manhood from you,
Right.
but it just makes you sensitive. And nobody was a sensitive man.
There's some form of sensitivity that is okay, because if we look at somebody with IQ, EQ, how does somebody that is sensitive with a higher EQ, understanding how to relate with other people, how to sympathize, how to empathize, those skills should actually be higher up,
Right.
in saying we would like for males and females to both be able to do both of these things, because it's a good skill to have.
It's a great skill.
And even as a father, and I love what you said earlier, when we're looking at a father and him understanding his emotions and how to regulate his own emotions, which is good, he should be able to connect and show his son or daughter how to do these things, because this is a valuable skill for him to have.
The reason I said, don't be a crybaby, right? Don't be overly sensitive, also comes to play with the fact of being a father now. As a father, you need to be able to lead by example. And I am not saying don't show your kid how to be emotionally in tune, but also don't show your son or your daughter that you should cry over everything and anything. Now your kid goes to school, and because my dad is a crier, I get bullied at school, I'm gonna cry. Now somebody says something, my dad is a crier, I'm gonna cry. Teach them to stand up. So you need to also be able to discern the moment. And that's what I'm saying. It's good to be aware of who you are. It's good to know your triggers, but then don't act out on those emotions every time and burst into tears.
If that is you, right, you sometimes cannot help that. Where you may have a lot of triggers, where you may honestly just be a high EQ person.
As a man, why can't you just hold yourself together?
Okay, but that's the thing. In maybe an African culture,
Right? You're the man box.
yeah, and I was just about to say, in African culture, that is the man box, the framework. That is the exact definition of the man box. Now you're telling people that if you have emotions, you can have but so much. And then that's it. You cannot show any more, because any more emotion that what we deem is appropriate is not appropriate. So what it is that I am okay with sensitive people. I'm okay with sensitive men, because that is who they are. But I agree with you, though, is that it should not disrupt their lives. It should not disrupt the lives of their children and their spouse and their family members. But it is okay. Listen, if you want to have a cry every day, go ahead and have a cry every day, but do it in a healthy way. Because we don't know what that person would be going through. We don't know what they're dealing with. And so to release that person from the man box, we say, emotionally regulate yourself. You said a beautiful word, learn your triggers. And so by learning your triggers, you'll be able to remove yourself from those situations and allow yourself to be present in the moment and not confuddled by all the emotions that's going on inside of you.
Do you think that it's okay to remove all perimeters altogether? As in like the man box altogether. Do you think it's okay to remove it, or should there be perimeters to some extent?
I think it's really intrinsic, it's just in human nature, right? There are certain aspects that's not bound by culture. Okay, so I have to admit that I've been listening to some, red pill content here and there. Sometimes they can go into a bit of extreme, but there's just this fact that even just observing myself in the past and my friends in terms of let's just talk a little bit about relationship here, right? What do girls or what do women or females find attractive in a man? So a lot of the female friends that I have that I'm familiar with, and we have talks every now and then, and they would tell me one thing, right? But their actions say something else. They would say, look, I want an emotionally available, sensitive guy that I can talk to and all that. But at the end, what I found out, and other people found out, not just me, but case after case after case study, those guys that are overly sensitive and known as, for us, we might turn them as, like crybabies and all that, okay? But, that's just who they are. But those guys tend to be what we call friend zone. These girls say they want a man like this, and this is it. The moment they find someone like that, they friend zone.
Listen, okay, watch this. We don't have the numbers in front of us of those types of relationships. How many of those actually end
In marriage?
in divorce? When you see a man incapable of understanding himself, his feelings, his triggers, and all this good stuff, when he gets into a marriage, that thing erupts. Because now that level of intimacy that he must have with his wife is very hard to achieve, because he is in that box and he says, I have my set of rules and standards and rules, and you have your rules and standards and rules. It is not just a sexual relationship between a man and a woman, but you got to intertwine your mind, your body, your spirit. And I will tell you, the man box does that. The man box stops men from being that for their wives. And so although you feel like they are friend zoned, I will even tell you, my wife, when I was dating her, I was the type of person, I was in that man box and I was comfortable being in that man box. When I was in the man box, I did not feel, and she did not feel like we had the level of intimacy that was necessary for a thriving marriage before marriage. She stopped me at her doorstep and she looked at me and she said, I know you're stressed about different things and it's okay to cry.
Is it because she's already attracted to you? Well, that's why she...
And because she was already used to the man box you were in.
That was a blockage that was stopping us from moving to the next step. The man box says, we don't want this. And so therefore, you need to break out of that so that you could be the person that God called you to be. When you withhold your emotions, that is equally unhealthy, right? As somebody who allows their emotions to become a distraction or deterrent in their life. So both of them need to be, you need balance.
So does that therefore come back to the question I asked Chad when we started, that is it important to have those perimeters, as in like know when to step out and when to come back, or like have like a border that says like this and this and this I'm gonna do, but to some extent.
As men and also as fathers, should we show all the emotions that we're going through? And let's say if I'm sad today, I just got scolded by my supervisor or whatever happened today, and I go back home and then I start venting.
You're a moper then.
So both of your fathers withhold all emotions. They only show you the good emotions. How then do you learn as a man how to regulate your emotions without having the model in front of you to model regulation of emotions?
We're not saying just show me the good emotions. Don't show me everything. Because there are certain things as a child you should not see.
So you say if your father cries, that's wrong. If he cries in front of you, that's wrong.
Let me give you a different viewpoint.
Okay.
Right. Let's say this is not in terms of you laughing, you being happy, or you being sad, that you're now coming, you cry, right? Let's take anger, for example.
Yeah.
Your mom makes your dad super mad.
Yes.
Now, because you have removed the man box completely and you say anything goes, this guy just decides to raise his hand and he slaps your mom across the room because that's what he's feeling.
That's abuse.
That is what he's feeling in the moment. That is, should he constrain himself or not? Should he put a barrier and say, listen, I'm going to stop myself because this is not good. It's not going to impact my kid positively. So that is one aspect. And that's exactly what I'm saying regarding everything. We're not just talking about crying. There are boundaries. There should be boundaries, and it's for certain things in the way you act in a household. Right. As a man, there should be boundaries. And kids do not see everything. It's not elf.
You know, this is the episode that will get the most views.
Is the minute that dad slaps or hurts mom that is abusive, right? He is not regulating himself emotionally. Now he is now allowing his emotions to dominate and dictate what happens in that area or in that household.
So why is it to regulate your emotions and not just cry?
What I'm saying is that it is, and there's a lot of science behind it. It is healthy for a father to show emotions in front of their children and then, resolve and regulate his emotions in front of his children. Show them how to go through that process. Because if I see daddy upset and then daddy does something, let's just say minuscule, right? He slams the door. I saw daddy upset. But now daddy opens that door after he's calmed down, scary, and he comes back to me and says, I'm really sorry I did that. That was wrong for me to slam that door. Daddy should have not shown that emotion with that way. The daddy should have not done that in order to show that emotion. That's what I meant. So there's other ways to show your anger in an appropriate manner. That was not appropriate. So what happens with the child now?
That is meant to protect the child. I feel like if you show all your feelings, TK, if you show all your feelings,
right,
you're going to put this child on a roller coaster that's going to send him ballistic.
I would not say that showing abusive, destructive behavior in front of your child is appropriate. Right now, was not. What I'm saying is you should show appropriate levels of emotion in front of your children.
Like crying.
Like, to some extent, that's what we're talking about. Crying or a few bouts of anger, but within a tasteful way. And so it's okay. And honestly, that teaches a child, that dads make mistakes.
Right.
They're human. Men make mistakes. Fathers make mistakes. And it's okay to make a mistake. I'll try my best not to do it again. And so I'll even bring it back to our main point. There's so many different viewpoints of manhood and fatherhood just now. You don't know what a child is experiencing.
But there are some common themes.
Exactly. I was about to say, you don't know what a child is experiencing, but there are some key points or key qualities we can look at to say, this is what we believe makes a good father. This is what we believe makes a good man. And by becoming that good man, you can become that good father. There is so much more to this topic, but I think we need to cut right here. This topic is really heavy. I think we can delve into it even further. So,
for all our viewers out there, please do not forget to put it down in the comment sections down below so we can be a part of your conversations and you can be a part of our conversations as well. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to like this episode. Do not forget to follow us as we are here to walk with you through fatherhood and all struggles or all beauties that come with it as well. And yeah, see you in the next episode.
Let's go. Stay tuned.